Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from Male Fuzz TV. I am Peter, and joining me on the other side of the screen, as always, is Connor.
That kind of felt like you trailed off there a bit, like you didn't really want to finish that.
I don't know what you're implying.
I think you know exactly what I'm implying.
If you don't say it outright, then no one will know, so we'll just move on with our lives.
Okay.
That's fine. We talk about DC TV shows on this show, and in this week's show, we have got another full slate, although we do have some finales to talk about. So we'll be talking about the newest episodes of Doom Patrol, we've got a new episode of Supergirl, the penultimate episode of Supergirl, in fact, the penultimate episode of Legends of Tomorrow, the season finale of Arrow, and the season finale of The Flash. So that is what's coming up on this week's episode, which means things are about to get funky in terms of what we're covering, because it means we'll be back to things like Gotham soon in the off season. So
especially
exciting.
after next week, because obviously next week still has Legends and Supergirl.
Yeah.
But after that, we'll definitely be on the off-season cycle.
Yeah. So we do have some news to talk about. We had a trailer for Batwoman, because it's the upfront season, and they always like to put out a trailer that basically spoils the whole pilot. That's kind of the thing.
This one was shorter than the average.
That's true, and I felt like it didn't spoil as much as I expect. It still spelled out the pilot quite a bit, don't get me wrong, but it didn't spoil as much as I expect for it to do.
I agree. Even compared to shows that we talk about, The Flash was particularly bad.
Oh yeah,
with its pilot trailer.
Yeah, full 5 minutes, and it spells out the entire plot beat for beat.
This was only about 3 minutes.
Yeah. Although that said, I felt like most of what it didn't cover was just the last, maybe 10 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying it did a great job. I'm saying it was better.
Outside of the last shot. The last shot is definitely right from the end of the pilot.
Oh yeah, it's the last shot of the pilot, isn't it?
It probably is, yes.
Yeah.
So we see a bunch of things. We see that in episode 1, she will have basically a slimmed down version of Batman suit for a bit before she sort of properly designs her own.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It does.
In context, I'm okay with that.
We see kind of her coming back because Alice shows up as a villain in Gotham, and I think I'd been saying for a while that Alice would be the villain in season 1. It just made sense.
I wasn't sure they'd be getting to that in episode 1, but
here's the one thing that now. So if you don't know anything about Batwoman, right? This I guess might be a spoiler for the show. So I'm warning you now if you want to skip ahead to the reviews, but I'm pretty sure this pilot's going to play it as if Kate doesn't know it's her sister.
I am 99% sure that is the case.
And it's going to be a reveal at some point. And
probably 2/3 into the season.
And we'll see how that plays, but it's just interesting.
Yeah.
Potentially tedious.
Could be, depend on how they play it. We will see.
Because what's the bet, and we'll get flashbacks of Beth, which is her sister's real name. And we'll get,
50-50. At least on recurring flashbacks. I think we'll get at least one episode with a dedicated chunk.
But I think we'll get that before we get the reveal.
Yeah, probably 60-40 I'm on that one. Yeah.
Or maybe we'll hear about it a lot before the reveal, but we'll get the actual flashbacks explaining it after the reveal. But we're going to know a lot about Beth before the reveal of Alice.
I agree.
That's the feeling I'm getting. Maybe they'll prove us wrong. Honestly, my only real concern about the show, I haven't seen a trailer for the pilot, and pilots are always kind of one of the weaker elements of a show anyway on network TV, but it's just generally kind of tone and acting was a little bit, just maybe not exactly what I'd like.
That's fair. I think something that stuck out to me is, so you know how we always joke that the Arrow was just because they couldn't do Batman, and they just made him Green Batman, right?
Yes.
This doesn't even try and pretend. It's like, well, we haven't got Batman, so here's Batwoman, it'll do. And I felt like it's like, look, just accept it. Just we're doing Batman, but it's not.
Her dad did seem to be a little bit less of a dick than I'm used to, just from this trailer.
He did, but that could be just, okay, he seems like that.
Yeah.
We learn he's just an absolute knobhead.
Yeah, we could learn that in time. But just because I'm so used to General Kane being General Kane.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Whereas he seems like more of a reasonable agent in whatever organization he's working for.
Yes, he didn't seem shouty enough.
Yeah, but no, like I actually quite like the line at the end where she's like, "I'm not letting," because everyone thinks it's Batman. Everyone just assumes it's Batman.
Everyone thinks Batman's back. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, "I'm not going to let him take the credit. I'm not going to let a man take the credit for a woman's work." Right? I like that line at the end. It's on the nose and it's very clear what it's doing. I like that line at the end. The one in the middle of the trailer, I thought was a bit clunky when she's talking about the suit and Lucius Junior, Lucas. Is it Lucas?
Luke.
Yeah, that's Lucius Fox's son. I was trying to remember his name. He's like, "Oh no, this is perfection. What are we talking about?" And she's like, "It will be when it fits a woman." I thought that was a weird line because I felt the natural line would be, "It will be when it fits me."
When it fits me.
Yeah. That's what I was expecting her to say, and it felt really weird and clunky to me. But
I felt the same.
But they're going for it. They're clearly, because I mean we'll get to the schedule in a second, but they're clearly going for some girl power here with what they're marketing.
I hope it eases off on the clunky. I'll excuse it for a pilot.
Sure.
Right? I'll let it slide. I hope by the time we're 5 or 6 episodes in, we're saying things normally, like as a person would.
That's fair. So the other news, of course, is that CW did put out what the schedule's going to be for the upcoming season, and it does shift around the DC shows a little bit. It doesn't really affect much in terms of our coverage because we'll just do it at the end of the week like we always do.
Yeah, I will say I like that they have confidence in the DC shows to the point where they're like, look, we've got a core audience. Because they used to be very afraid of moving things because, what if people don't tune in at this, that time? They're like, nah, screw it. They're coming. Are they coming or they're not? Right?
Yeah. So they're actually going to put Batwoman's in the fall because I think you were really high in the idea that it might be mid-season.
I was before I learned that they were doing just a straight up origin, like pre what we saw before in Elseworlds.
You still argued me on it. I know you did. But this it was definitely coming this fall now. It's going to be launching, and whatever week everything launches in October. It'll be launching on Sundays with Supergirl. It's going to be on first though, which is the one weird part of this. You think they'd have Supergirl first to lead into Batwoman because Batwoman's a darker show, so it should be later. But whatever.
Yeah, no, what this is to me is they're expecting Batwoman to do better than Supergirl does, and they want the lead-in numbers.
You said Batgirl.
God damn it.
And it may very well because Batwoman is a Bat character and Bat characters sell very well.
That sells. That's just a fact. Yeah.
So yeah, that's good. So Batwoman and Supergirl on Sundays, and then Mondays for DC's sake only has Black Lightning at the 9 o'clock slot, and then Tuesday has the Flash at 8, and then Arrow is now on Tuesday nights after the Flash. Like it used to be a long time ago actually, for its final season.
So now, we wait and watch those at the same point of the week anyway, so that I don't have to get drunk twice.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the CW is just being accommodating for everyone, going, look, fine, just have your drunk night on a Tuesday.
Yeah, so that's the schedule for fall for DC. Legends is going to be mid-season, which it's not surprising. It's basically if I was
something had to be at this point.
Yeah, if I was to make a guess here, is that Batwoman is actually going to be a full 22 episode season. And that's going to be the third full season show along with Supergirl and Flash. And it's actually Arrow that's technically taking up Legends slot because that's only 10 episodes this time.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, I still expect. Actually, I don't know. Legends could either replace Black Lightning slot or it could take Arrow slot. It could either go in either of them.
I think it goes on the Tuesday with Flash, but I think it actually goes after Flash because it usually gets, I think, better numbers now.
Why wouldn't it be after Flash? Arrow's after Flash too.
Yeah, I'm saying it won't be after Flash, so it'll be before Flash, and it'll be used as the lead-in to Flash.
Wait, Legends gets better numbers than Flash now?
I believe so. At least it has been on some of them. Yeah.
This is news to me. I thought Legends was the lowest performing one of the bunch. I'm sure the last time I checked it was.
Oh, I saw something recently that said it was performing better than Flash had been, but I don't know what. Maybe
it's been
they
a while.
measure a different metric. Yeah.
I'm talking early in the season, so I've not checked it in months and months. But
yeah,
that was certainly not the case when I last checked it. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, as for our coverage, it doesn't really make any difference, but worth knowing where they're putting things for. So yeah, we'll be talking about a new Batwoman show in October. So be
I
excited.
appreciate they're still clumped up in the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah,
Makes it easier for us.
yeah, and then it means that once Arrow's done, we'll be back to 5 shows, and it means that when Legends does show up, it will probably air without breaks. There'll probably be no breaks in Legends when it comes on because
depends if they're finishing Arrow off before the break. If it comes in straight after that slot, we might have still a couple of breaks here or there. Not much though.
I don't think it matters. And on that point, actually, Arrow I don't think is finishing before the break.
Oh, do you know? Okay. You think Arrow's the final part of Crisis?
I don't know if it's the final part, but we know from the upfronts, this is the other bit of news here, is that the Crisis is actually not going to be airing in 1 week this time. It's going to get split in two, and the first half of it, it says it's going to be 5 parts, so we don't know if this is going to be 3 before Christmas and 2 after, or 2 before and 3 after, but it's going to be split between Christmas. So there's going to be a part 1 essentially over like 2 or 3 episodes, and a part 2 over 2 or 3 episodes back in January. So that's what they're doing with it.
No, the reason I said I think Arrow still ends before is I think Arrow either kicks it off or it's the end of the first part before Christmas is Arrow's final episode. But I mean, I could be wrong on that. Yeah, we have nothing to base that on.
Yeah, I don't know why you think it's anything specifically.
I just suspect.
The only thing we can say for sure is that one of those episodes of the Crisis will be an Arrow episode, maybe 2 of them. But I don't know why you're specifically thinking it's the first or the last or the middle or.
I just suspect it will be neater to have Arrow done rather than having like 1 or 2 come back after Christmas.
No, but here's the problem with that though: is they never air 10 episodes of either shows before Christmas. They've never done it.
No, they haven't. But I'm saying they might make an exception. So they usually do 9, don't they? I'm saying they might make 1 extra.
But if I was going to be part of the crossover anyway, and that's going to be on after, it doesn't really matter that it's coming back because it doesn't matter what show it is. It's just part of the crossover.
I mean, that's fair. I think we know they said it was 5 hours, and I think they said it was including all 5 shows, right? They said Supergirl, Batwoman, Flash, Arrow, and Legends.
Yeah, theoretically Legends is involved. There's actually a tease in the Flash this week when we talk about it about Legends being involved. But
is there?
There is, yeah.
I'll tell you what, but which means I guess that Legends is definitely in the post-Christmas part.
Which might actually mean it's the first episode of Legends of the season that's in the Crisis.
That's weird, but sure, why not? I wonder if Legends' last episode is like, hey, look, we're coming back in the Crisis. We'll get there.
Yeah. I could see them being the cavalry towards the end. Maybe they're not involved to begin with, and they come swooshing in right at the end of it. That would make a lot of sense. And we'll talk We'll talk a lot more about what we think about Crisis potentially when we talk about Arrow, because there's a little lead into it at the end of the Arrow finale.
Yeah, it might actually mean quite a lot for the final season of Arrow. More than we expected.
So, yeah, that's the news. Some juicy stuff there, though. I mean, I think the crossover being split over 2 chunks is very interesting. It does make it frustrating that we're not getting one big go again. However, it will make that second half very exciting coming back after Christmas. Getting that sometime mid-late January and being like, whoa, here it is. So,
you know what's funny? There's a lot of the reaction to this. I've seen people going, what? Only 5 hours to do Crisis? Are you mad? This is not enough. I'm like, 5 hours is like 2 movies. Like, sure, you can say, oh, maybe that's not enough. But it's not like they're skimping and doing it. Like they're not doing nothing.
It's not 2 movies.
I mean,
3 episodes is 2 hours without ads, so it's 1 long movie. It's 1 3 hours and 20-minute movie.
Sure, you're right. Yeah, I forgot to take out the ads.
I'm not saying that like you couldn't have 2 90-minute movies out of that. I'm saying that if you're doing one big epic thing, this would be 1 3 hour 20-minute movie.
That's fair. I was thinking about it weirdly, but still, like it's a long movie, right? It's a big movie, and I'm like, that's not. really a problem here. I mean, because it's not going to be a direct adaptation of Crisis. You know, they're not doing every beat. They're doing this universe's version. I feel like 5 episodes is a perfectly reasonable amount. I mean, maybe they'll prove me wrong and it'll be, you know, rushed, and I'll be like, okay, we could have done with more. But on paper, I'm not opposed to this. I think it seems reasonable. I was quite surprised to see the reaction personally.
Just the episode count specifically here.
Yeah.
The split. Yeah. We'll see how it works. We'll see how it goes.
That's a different matter. Yeah, but people were annoyed that they were like, "No, this needs to be at least 10 episodes rather than 5." I was like, right, okay.
I think 5 is fine. I think they gave us a really good tight 3-episode thing last season.
Yeah, that was good.
And it was the best one they've done. So if they go into this with the same mentality as that one, I will happily eat up their 5 episodes. It makes me wonder if there's a natural split though. Like is the first, let's say it's 2 and 3. Is the first 2 before Christmas like mostly normal crossover style? Everyone's together, things are happening, but something really big and bad happens at the end of episode 2. And that's the cliffhanger, you know. It's like, okay, so then after Christmas, that's where we can bring in all these like multiverse characters, and that's where everything's getting wacky and different. And
could be. I would suspect they want to end with some introduction of multiversal shenanigans to go, hey, come back for more of this.
Yeah. Possibly a dark moment. We'll see, but Crisis hopefully will be good. And despite the fact that Flash and Arrow have both been garbage, I am cautiously very optimistic based on Elseworlds, because the Batwoman trailer was out and people were talking about it. Someone posted some clips from Elseworlds, and I was just watching some of those scenes again, and I'm like, man, I really like this.
Yeah,
like I really like this, and this is technically an episode of Arrow that I'm really enjoying right now. What the hell? So
weird.
See. Anyway, so we'll talk about shows. We'll talk about shows, and coming up first we have Doom Patrol season 1 episode 13. It's called Flex Patrol, so no guesses for who might be involved in this episode. Flex Mentallo himself. This was so good. There's so much going on in here.
Where do you want to start? You know, we could start with 722.
Who turns out to be Flex Metallo in the next cell.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately the first thing is that they Flint from Jane teleports them all out the ant farm, and they get back to the mansion. Cyborg ends up in the hospital with his dad. Rita, who
isn't dead yet.
Who isn't dead. Rita, feeling he shouldn't be alone, ends up getting teleported with. Cliff and Jane try to jog Flex's memories because he doesn't know who he is. He's like, he loves daytime soaps. That's all he cares about.
Yeah, we see a nice extended flashback at the opening of how he got captured.
Yes, and
a little bit about who he is.
A little bit of like, just what his powers are and what he can do, kind of thing.
It's weird,
and the fact that he walks around in that loincloth essentially, like all the time.
Yeah, and it's like no one gives him a second glance.
No one thinks about it. And this is the 60s. This is like a prudish time period here.
Yeah. Maybe he's in a hippie town.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. Yeah. Maybe that's it. So, yeah. And so we got that, and then Larry, who kind of goes off on his own. The spirit wants to show him something. So we have like an extended flashback thing inside Larry's head, and then we have these other plot beats that we were kind of talking about. So, I guess where we start first is we'll start with Larry because it's more into Flex's backstory. It's more
separate,
yeah. Where it's basically he was in the cell next to Flex and the ant farm himself for a long time, and he'd forgotten about it. He didn't realize, and the spirit kind of shows him this.
He kind of has like a gentle memory when he recognizes him. He's like, "Oh, hey, 722," and he's like, he kind of has this recollection early on.
So he Flex has just been captured, so he's kind of fresh. He wants to break out. He's like, hey, I've got enough of my powers to open the wall up a little bit with his muscles, but not physically. It's a long story. And he's like, hey, if you can reach through and like pull some of these cables off, this thing's dampening my powers. Like, I can get us out of here. But Larry's kind of given up, and he's
scared of ripping the suit of when he, that he's when he reaches through the wall and ripping open the containment suit and killing everyone.
And the spirit wants to leave because the spirit leaves his body, and he's like, and can communicate with Flex. Flex understands the spirit and talks to him, But
Yeah.
ultimately, the bad guys here come in and like, hey, we've got your like wife or girlfriend, Flex. Like, here she is, and we're going to
Yeah.
hurt her if you don't, play ball. And then ultimately, we see that he kind of, obviously over the years he's been conditioned and he's forgotten who he is, and that's kind of where he ends up. And this is kind of what inspires Larry to be like, no, I'm going to go help.
Yeah.
So I'll save the one final moment with Larry because it kind of just ties into the ending.
Yeah, sure.
Everything else. Meanwhile, Jane is with Cyborg and try to convince him to put in the chip that'll re-trigger Grid and upgrade it and all that.
Yeah. They talk about how we've got the tracker on the Beard Hunter, but we need Grid to actually follow it, because otherwise, it was pointless. And how are we going to find Niles?
Yeah, yeah, and she ends up having this heart to heart with this old man. She ends up helping this old man.
Yeah.
In the lobby of the hospital, and we get this really another dark part of her backstory here. And I love that it's not flashbacks. I love that it's just because we saw the one scene of her with the producer, right? And it was kind of, but it's added this bitter twist to it where for a long time she was actually helping this happen with someone else.
Yeah, she would send all the other girls in there just so that she would keep getting parts.
Yeah, and it's like, you were. It's just, it's really evil. It's really evil. It's really...
And then there's this weird double-edged jealousy to it, because the girls that she sent in ended up being like Oscar winners.
But
so it was like they were getting more famous, more awards than she was as well. But she was still getting her parts.
Yeah.
So she was kind of annoyed, angry at herself for ever having put them through that. But also, there's a tinge of jealousy as well.
Not anymore. It's not like
not anymore though. It's not. But at the time,
yeah, like because it's this thing where she feels like she was complicit, and she's one of the lines she has is she says that it was really easy to look the other way. People think it's not, but it actually is. But now we've kind of seen it in her character throughout the season that she is kind of fighting for some kind of redemption, and. Yeah. It's it was kind of touching her telling this story, and it was really getting emotional. Because when I started, I was like, I mean, we've heard about what happened to her and the producer, and then she kept going on. It was like, wait, nah, she was kind of the bad guy for a while, and like her kind of trying to atone for that, and it eventually gets to the story of this one girl who was sent in and got pregnant from the producer, and when the girl came to her for help because the producer didn't want to help her, she just gave her $100 and shoved it all on her way. Yeah. And she ended up committing suicide. And it kind of answers why it answers why she was feeling emotional when she heard some babies crying.
It was, yeah, because the baby kind of just vanished, like the baby never existed. They're like, well, what happened? There was no record.
Yeah,
and she's got that guilt of, well, okay, what happened there?
So no, it's a really good scene. There is obviously the slight twist here where it reveals later on that this is actually Mr. Nobody in disguise.
Yeah.
Doing this to kind of encourage her to sort of push forward. But she goes on to Cyborg and she's like, no, you need to take this chip. This is what's right to do. And she kind of convinces him, and she's trying to do the right thing. And she storms into the team at the end and is like, hey, like, we have to do this for Niles. I think I know how to find him. And it's like, no. Like, she's inspired to actually be a hero. She's inspired to want to do something. And we'll come back to this scene. I'll save that for the end. But I really, yeah, like her stuff was actually really moving once it got to.
It was, yeah, almost surprisingly so, because the way it started, it felt like it was familiar beats at first.
Yeah, but there was this whole different side to it that we hadn't gotten yet.
Yeah,
and it really added a lot of weight to it. And then Cliff and Jane trying to jog Flex's memories, and they try a bunch of things. They try and remind him of who he was. They shave his head, his beard, put him in the same, wrestling trunks, and it's all very amusing. And none of it's working. We even get to see them watch Cliff's old cameo on the soap.
Terrible. But he claims there was talk of a daytime Emmy.
Yeah, and Larry's just sitting there going, "Yeah, you're very good, Cliff."
Yeah. Very believable.
But yeah, and it gets very dark because Jane has the idea, we just have to get his wife, and she goes and teleports and brings back the wife, and
which makes sense, right?
Yeah, I'm not disputing that. Like,
yeah, it seems like a solid plan.
And it does jog his memory, and they have this touching reunion where they're kind of crying and holding each other, and then she starts to fade away. It's very, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. She starts to just like disappear and evaporate, And she basically says, "Oh, I remember they told me if I ever tried to track you down, if I ever found you, like this was like built in, and it's like she's got this device on her wrist that's doing this essentially."
Yeah, it's the elbow flasher, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's this really dark scene, and like the rest are just watching, and you just get this feeling like, man, they need to feel like shit right now. Like they did this. They brought her here.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, they had no idea this would happen.
Yeah, of course
It's an
not, but
unintended consequence. But yeah, they got to feel pretty terrible.
yeah. So that sets up that, and yeah. So Jane comes back in. At this point, Larry keels over, and after she's like, no, we need to go find Niles. And what are you doing?
Sorry, I was trying to adjust this on my arm because it was getting very irritated for this burn that I've got. I was trying to adjust it.
All right, but yeah, so he kills over. He's coughing up blood, and we see him coughing earlier on, and I was kind of like, yeah, the spirit's been out of his body all episode because ever since they took it out of him in the ant farm.
It occurred to me when it was coughing pretty early.
I was like, yeah, I've got a funny feeling that the spirit being inside him is why he's lived so long, and otherwise the radiation might be killing him here. So
yeah, a little bit lethal.
So he actually starts coughing up blood, which is wonderful in his face because it doesn't come out. You just see the bandages go red.
Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it?
And basically the spirit's going to get back in, like, well, spirit, get back in him then, save his ass. And he's like, no, don't, spirit. Like, I've held you back long enough. You go and fly where you want to fly. Like, don't. And like, it's kind of a touching moment. And we see the spirit leave the house. He goes up out of the sky.
It's gorgeously shot as well. The way it follows it and the way it's spinning.
Yeah, and he goes up to he's up in the sky for a little bit above the house, and he's sort of looking around, and it's great because it can't talk. There's no dialogue, but you get that it's contemplating and it's thinking about it, and it's saying, no, I don't want to. I want to save Larry, and it swoops back in, goes back in and saves Larry, and it's back and save Larry, and it feels like now we're at this point where there is a genuine bond. It's taken a long time because they've been together for decades, but it feels like they're actually at a place now where they know they care about each other, and
definitely, yeah,
and it's a really interesting bond. So at this point, it's like, okay, we need to go get the chief, and Jane says, yeah. Hell yeah, let's go do it. And Cliff jumps in and says, yeah, let's do this, Rita. And then
all the music's swelling up.
Yeah, the main theme's swelling up. Larry stands up and says, yeah, we're going to do this. And then it pauses, and the camera comes out, and Mr. Nobody, who's just Alan Tudyk in this point. He's not got the half face or anything like that. It's just Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, he's in the white world.
Yeah, and he's got a DC Comics hat on. He's got a Doom Patrol shirt. He's got a Doom Patrol like sofa cover like over his lap, and he's got like various things.
The promotional poster.
And we'll get to the poster in a second. That's not there yet. He's watching on the app and he's paused it, and he's like, finally, this is what you've all been waiting for. We've got a team of effing superheroes. Yeah. And he gets up and he walks over to the big poster and he's like, yeah, this team is coming. And he's like, oh wait, no, Cyborg's staying behind. I'll rip his face off. But it is the poster. It's the TV show's poster that was used for promotional purposes. And then he's like, yeah, they're coming next time. You all want to see that, don't you? And it kind of ends with him grinning at the camera, and it cuts the credits and the music. And do you know what I love about this? Is that it gives us the inspiring moment of the team deciding to be they don't say it, but they're being the Doom Patrol now, right? Yeah. And it almost derails it with him, but him sort of grinning, saying, yeah, this is coming next time. It still kind of works as the hype up moment.
I kind of loved it. Like, I wasn't expecting, because obviously this show's been meta and weird with this stuff.
Yeah.
But this was still an extra layer of new just shenanigans.
No, it was really good. And then, if I speaking of music, we forgot after Flexy's wife disappears, he has this really great moment where his powers like kick in supernova, and all the lights in the building go out, and there's like this epic slow version or maybe not epic, emotional version of the main theme starts playing.
I love how the first note it's it's hard on the brass organ synth. And it comes in, and it sounds like a siren, like an alarm's going off at first, and it takes till at the end of that first note where it's like, oh, okay, we're just doing the theme, and
it's when it changes note. It's like at first it's just the first one
because the first note sounds like a siren, like an alarm is going off from a reaction to what's happening, and then it goes into the rest of the theme, and it's like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Nah, it's a really good moment. Really good moment.
Yeah.
Episode was full of them, and it was all build up. And I think it's interesting we have 2 episodes left. We have this moment before 2 episodes, not one.
Yeah, I love the name of the next one. It's called Penultimate Patrol.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So no, like the choosing, because I like that a lot of this has been about actually getting them to the point where they want to band together and try
Be
and
a team
actually
save the chief.
and actually be a team and save them. Because even there's other bonding moments between Cliff and Jane I thought were good, where he tries to bring up the underground because he's not had a chance to speak to her about it, and she's like, I don't want to talk about it, and then he ultimately kind of admits, like, hey, like, I had to go in and get you, but I'm sorry that I saw things that you weren't ready to share. You know, and there's this great moment where he puts his hand on her shoulder and she doesn't, tell him to piss off.
Him,
yeah. She doesn't, like, goes, don't touch me and piss off, you robot piece of shit.
Hammerhead doesn't come out and punch him.
Yeah, it's like he gets away with it, and it's not like she turns around and embraces him or hugs him or anything like that. It just, like, it happens for a few seconds and it goes on.
That's such progress.
Yes, it's progress. So no, fantastic episode of Doom Patrol.
Yeah, it is.
So there you go, which will take us on to Supergirl, season 4, episode 21, the penultimate episode of the season. It's Red Dawn is the title. So this is where we kind of deal to an extent with the Red Daughter, and Kara kind of confronts her, learns that she has an apartment that's, like, identical to hers, and you can see her apartment from there. Like, it's outright stalking.
Yeah,
full on. Yeah. And we also deal, of course, with Alex finding out and remembering who her sister is, which, Joe, it's funny because, like, I actually don't have a problem with the moment itself where she finds out. My only sort of complaint here is that I wish that they did more with her not knowing a little bit, and in the meantime.
Yeah, it felt like it was really hard on it for like 2 episodes after it went away, from Kara's perspective.
Yeah,
and then they kind of just ignored it.
And in this episode, even before this happens, like, Kara's, like, breaking down with Jean, being like, "Oh, I need to be able to tell my sister." And you know what, like,
it's like, yeah, you've been fine for the last 2 months. Get up.
But I like the moment itself is fine, and we get this flashback at the start. The Midvale teens, they add them back for a flashback, where Kara can't clap in rhythm to save herself.
No, she really can't. It's terrible.
I mean, I've never heard the song before, so I had no hope. But
no, but I did. Yeah, you didn't know the song.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not the same thing. She obviously does.
Yes. So what was funny actually, it's clear how much those two have aged. Just it's been like a year and a half, but they look so much older because they're at that age.
Yeah. Which is fine because this is obviously just set a little bit later.
Yeah, it's a later flashback.
Yeah.
If they ever do a full flashback with these characters again, it would just be, oh no, now they're graduating. They're in college now.
And that's fine.
Yes. And to be at college, they'll probably just use the current actors and just try and de-age them.
I know, but you kind of wish they wouldn't, right? I mean, the only reason why they wouldn't do that is because, hey, this makes scheduling the crossover easier. If you're all off doing that, we can do stuff with the youngers.
We'll get a Midvale episode around episode 6 or 7 next season.
Sounds plausible.
Yeah. So no, I mean the Supergirl stuff. Like ultimately, they track down, or Red Daughter actually goes to Eliza. And it's like, oh, she's going to threaten her. Because she actually runs into Red Daughter first because, obviously Supergirl's going to get out of trouble at the White House because she's Supergirl.
Yeah, but did you find it really underwhelming? Like, it opens like it's just over in like 30 seconds.
Oh, sure, yeah. It was a nothing. It was basically a bullshit comic book cliffhanger last episode, like where it doesn't really matter. Like, it's a nothing thing.
Yeah, but I thought, okay, from the president's point of view, going through this stuff, I thought this could be played as a big deal. And then it's just not. She's just captured. Fine, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, Red Daughter shows up and they kind of spar it out a little bit with kryptonite, and Supergirl gets away. I mean, that's basically it. But later on, she goes to Eliza, and Supergirl has to speed off, in full suit. Obviously, no understanding how they were framed, how she was framed, obviously. And goes to save Eliza, and Alex is on her way as well on the bike, but obviously she's taking longer. And we get a bit of a fight between them. Because at the forest, there's some carnage and things. I thought it was weird they had, Russian Kara.
Suit.
Sorry?
What are you going to say about how she was wearing the suit?
Oh, the suit, just the helmet.
Well, yeah. It felt really jarring to me as well. It was like they didn't want to mess around with framing for the stunt doubles and then getting, Benoist in both. They didn't want to mess around with it. They were just like, just throw a helmet on.
Yeah, that was weird. Like, you've been building up to her all season, then you put her in a helmet for the fight. That's odd.
Yeah.
So they have this thing where she basically gets beat and is technically dead for like a minute. And Alex, who while she's getting beat up, Alex is watching the fight, and like it jogs all these memories of like childhood, but also like past couple of seasons and yada yada yada. And she knows it's her. And Kara's lying there dead, and she's like, "No, the sun's not out. She'll be fine once the sun comes out. The sun will heal her." And she starts like putting grass on her hand. He's like, "The grass has sun in it."
I like the desperation though, and I think the acting sells it.
Yes, the desperation, the acting is good. I did think it was weird how it just actually kind of happened like seconds later.
That was the bit I didn't like. But from Alex just breaking down and being just like so desperate, it's like, no, the grass, give her the grass, that'll do it, that'll be enough. And then for about 30 seconds, it not working and her just not knowing what to do. I thought that moment was fantastic. Probably the best moment of the episode.
Yeah, that was good. And like, if they just like waited till sunrise and then she got up,
yeah, it'd been fine.
Fine with it. Just hope that sun will wake her up when the sun comes up. That could be like a tense scene of them waiting.
But then you get all these tendrils of light coming out of all the grass and the plant.
Here's the thing: why does this like? I'll buy that this is happening. She's taking solar energy. Like maybe like nature's actually supplying it because nature cares. That's like a bit mushy, but I'll accept that as a nice little message. I don't understand why it's visible to human beings.
Well, this thing, I wasn't sure if it was or not because Alex doesn't seem to be able to see it, but Eliza can.
No, Eliza's like, no, it's happening. She's doing it. She's drawing the energy.
Yeah, I hate this. Was bullshit. Let's be honest, right? Just this moment was absolute bullshit.
It was weird.
It completely deflated the fantastic moment that was 30 seconds before.
And the problem is that if you're going to wake her up this quickly, then why have her be dead? Why not just have her be there in a lot of pain and wake up?
For Alex's reaction.
And the reaction is good, but like, I don't know. Like,
I know. I hated it.
Would it really be that bad just to have a scene of them waiting until sunrise and then just hoping, and then you can do the, it's essentially the same as the resuscitation and the wake up after too many, pushes.
Yeah.
But like this would make more sense because it's a Superman character, right? A Supergirl, so she can, once the sun's out, she will actually soak it in and wake back up. And Connor apparently has lost his sound because he's went quiet. Yes.
I was trying to get there quick enough. I was 2 seconds too late.
Oh dear. Anyway, so that was an odd beat. And we'll save what the final moment is with Supergirl because that's setting up what the finale is going to be. So Brainy, Nia, and Jean team up to track things down, and Brainy goes to get Jean help, and he's also getting Nia. There's actually a really funny moment early on when he's talking to Alex and Lena about it's like, and I shall go get Dreamer because she'll be helpful for this reason. Also, I'm going to tell her I'm in love with her, and then that's it.
Yeah, you just get the pair of them looking at each other going, okay then.
All right, okay, you go for it.
It's like, you do you, Brainy, you do you.
Yeah, because later on he's speaking to Jean, he's like, guys, I have to tell her this before the world-ending shenanigans start because then I can focus, because then I won't feel all these things anymore. And Jean's like, yeah, love don't work like that.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But there's some funny moments. They're trying to do the wiki thingamajig. What did they call it?
I don't know I can't remember the exact phrasing that they used.
Yeah, but the whole thing where she pretends to be a prisoner and he pretends to be Lockwood, but they get cut out, and they torture Brainy enough they actually reboot him, and he goes kind of full Brainiac on us, and he's kind of cold and evil.
Which is kind of a great idea. There's that bit. It's like, no, don't be careful because we got ancestral memory here, and my ancestors were bitches. You don't want this.
So he actually lets Dreamer get locked up because, well, you can astral project when you get where you're going, and then we'll know where you are. He's like so cold about it.
And he comes out, and Jean's there. He goes, "Oh, I left Dreamer." He's like, do that, we need to help her. And he's like, "You're right." That he knocks him out. He's like, "With you there, she'll have twice the chance of succeeding."
Yes. It's so cold. It hurts to do this and like give them this wrench in the relationship just when they were about to.
It does, but I get it.
Yeah,
it.
it works. It works. As long as it's not something that we draw out till next season. As long as it's something that's by the finale's ending, like they understand what happened and.
I would hope so.
Yeah, that's my hope anyway. So we have that, and then we have the Lena Lockwoody stuff where Lockwood gets confronted by Lena, and she says, "Hey, you're working for Lex, right? You know Lex is behind all this." And he's like, "What do you talk about? No, I'm not." And then he gets convinced by it, so he goes to see Otis, and a bit of a fight breaks out.
And Otis is like, "Yeah, sure, the mask was your idea, but yeah, everything else was us."
Yeah, so they end up fighting, and Lockwood actually ends up kind of saving Jimmy here at one point, actually, because he ends up ripping out the kryptonite and. Dealing with it, but so it makes Lockwood kind of an interesting third party, I guess, into the finale, where whatever Lex has got planned, Lockwood may have a problem with it, which might actually benefit everyone. So we'll see how that goes. But the big ending is that this whole Kasnian invasion was all just a ruse. It was basically just a thing to make Lex look good, because Lex in his Lexosuit basically single-handedly stops an invasion, and the president's like, yes, thank you to our hero, the great Lex Luthor.
Who has killed Comrade Kara.
I don't think she's actually dead, actually.
Okay, it definitely plays that way. He's holding up the body. I hope she's not, because otherwise I hated this.
No, see, it never even occurred to me that she was actually dead. I assume she's just faking because the cameras.
I mean, I hope so. That's what I mean. That's what I'm hoping is the case.
It literally never even occurred to me that she could actually be dead.
Fair enough. I mean, this is Lex. I wouldn't put it past him.
Nah, she's too good of a weapon. There's no way he's actually killed her.
I hope not. I agree. It's likely that she's not dead, but I also said earlier in the season with Jean and Manchester that I was like, wait, that was it? They've caught me off once already this season with this same thing where I was like, I was convinced that he wasn't actually dead because the moment made no sense to me otherwise. So I'm not actually trusting this because of that.
I mean, I feel this is even different to that one. No, this just doesn't. I don't even think there's a hint that she's actually dead. I know they're saying he's killed Supergirl, but
yeah.
Like, I don't see why you would. It doesn't make sense to me.
That's fair.
And I know he's under the impression Supergirl's dead, because obviously she said that to him. But yeah, I don't know. It never even occurred to. I just assumed, she's just doing it for the image. She's pretending.
Which is very possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. The episode as a whole is a little bit all over the place in terms of structure and pacing. Like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that's jumping around.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned the fact that Jimmy's fine again. Got powers to keep.
Yeah. They give him some juice.
They just give him more.
Lena gets her mother involved, and she's got the truth alien thing on her arm, so she's not lying. There's a funny moment here where she's like, "Hey, that boy I was dating when I was like 14." It's like, "Oh, yeah, I paid him off to never see you again."
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of. It was an okay episode. Like, there was some moments I liked, there were some moments I didn't like. There's, same old.
Yeah, that's it. And it was so frustrating that the best moment of the episode, one of the best moment in any of the last few episodes, was so immediately undermined. Within 30 seconds.
I honestly thought for a second, and I didn't really have much longer to think this, but I thought for a second what they were actually maybe going to do here is genuinely kind of kill her off for a bit. Not for good, and a sort of Death of Superman where she'll be back in a few months, but the way they actually win the season is they convince Russian Kara to do the right thing.
Yeah, that would have worked.
I genuinely thought that's where they were going until she started sucking sunlight in from the plants.
They love getting rid of the main hero over summer. All these shows do.
They do. But that'd be a ballsy move. Like, convince Russian Kara to do the right thing in the finale, and then you can go a few episodes next season without, because you still have Melissa Benoist doing a character. You still have, so why not? But then all the sunlight from the plants.
Oh God! Stop it! Stop reminding me. It's terrible.
All right, all right. So that'll take us on to the season finale of Arrow. It's called "You Have Saved This City."
I'm going to tell you now, for all intents and purposes, this is the series finale.
Okay.
I think the first 20, 25 minutes, whatever, give or take half of this episode, is the end of the show.
Okay.
And then
I don't
everything
know. I
next
don't.
season.
Why are you saying all this like you think I'm going to fight you on any of it?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying
Because
that's
no,
the
be
key.
you're like, no, listen to me, Peter. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to blow your mind, as if I'm not thinking all this already.
I'm not saying, and then I think that's the end of the show. And next season is all just crisis build. That's it.
See, I hope that's the truth. I agree it feels possible at this point. I don't trust them to somehow turn most of those episodes still into feeling like Arrow. Does that make sense?
No, that's fair. They might be shit.
Because, sure, they've said that Felicity's left the show and this was the last time we're seeing her. They have not said anything about the rest of the, 50 cast members. So
they have not, no.
So I'm still expecting to see them. I would love nothing more if the next season of Arrow is literally, the Monitor taking... I was going to say Steven there. They're taking Oliver, that's the name. Oliver around the multiverse and showing him things.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I mean, it's more likely that he'll have done that over the summer.
Possibly, but I'm half expecting if it's all going to be build up to Crisis, then why not have an episode where he goes and recruits Green Lantern John Stewart, that's Diggle, from Earth 90.
We should have that.
Do that. Hell, yeah. Bring regular Diggle. Say, hey, this will be easier if Diggle's here to talk to.
Will it? Because Diggle's kind of useless in
and then he can be like, hello, John. Hello, John. Hello, John. Hello, John. Tell me you get that reference.
Yeah.
That's Jurassic Park for anyone who didn't get that.
I just wasn't expecting it. It caught me off guard.
I think that was a pretty good reference on my part, but
that wasn't bad. Yeah.
So, yeah, the first half of the episode they deal with Emiko, who is basically really oddly kind of not redeemed, but doesn't become the full basically the Ninth Circle turn their backs on her because she's not willing to just kill Oliver right there and then, and they have to fight together against the Ninth Circle. But obviously, it doesn't end well. Naturally,
yeah, that's how these things go.
And because the Ninth Circle are still after everyone, they're basically disbanding. They have this big hug, and for some reason, Terrific's back even though they didn't do anything. Laurel comes back from Earth 2, and I guess she helps in the fight a little bit.
Again, the only reason that they're back is because this is the show finale.
Bronze Tiger's out of prison, and he helps, and he's got his claws, and he's helping them fight. So he's like a full-on hero now.
Surprisingly, doesn't die.
He has a moment because we were expecting him to die because Diggle ends up adopting his son. I guess that just happens next season or off. Maybe in Crisis.
Maybe he dies in a Crisis.
Yeah, maybe he goes out in a Crisis.
It's not a Crisis without a reasonable body count.
Oh, of course.
So he's an easy one. We already know he's got to die. So why not? Why not do it in the Crisis?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but the interesting stuff for us is people who don't really care about Arrow that much. The emotional stuff with Felicity, all that crap, the taking them off to the house and hiding, and it's all three of them together. I don't really give much of a shit. And again, going back with the idea that this is kind of the real finale before we do this extra thing before Crisis, is that the final scene, we say we have a big goodbye to the whole team, and then we have a scene that's just Oliver, Diggle, and Felicity when he's dropping them off at the house. And it's that's the original trio. And then, it does make a lot of sense that this is kind of saying goodbye to,
It is. And then you've essentially got the scene in the house where it's, okay, that's retired.
Yeah, this is the death of the show as it was, and we're going to do just Oliver doing something in the build-up to Crisis, because I was genuinely pleasantly surprised when the Monitor showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I genuinely wasn't expecting it.
Because
it was a shock.
I wasn't expecting the reason Oliver leaves initially to be that. So I was shocked when the Monitor shows up after the young Mia's born. Oh, that's right. There's a whole plot in the future with, she's an archer now, and they win. That's it.
I remember her getting the bow. I remember nothing else.
I remember a horrible transition where she jumps out of a building, and then it cuts to Oliver jumping out of a building and CG.
Oh, with the terrible CG. Yeah, okay, I remember that.
Yeah.
How can I forget that?
Even right at the start, when all 5 of them are on the roof at the start of the episode, they all jump off with like grapples. It just looks terrible.
Every time Arrow does this effect,
the monitor shows up, and I genuinely sat up and I was like, "Oh, what are we doing here?" Because I liked Elseworlds a lot. I'm excited for Crisis, and it's like he's like, "Hey, it's time. You're coming with," and we get like a flashback to the scene in Elseworlds, but we get to hear more of it where you're going to have to help me when the time comes. It's not you have to die, although I still think he's going to die in Crisis. And for the record, they actually finally reveal in the future at the end of the episode that he is dead. That he dies.
Yes, finally see the gravestone.
That he dies. I think it's that say 2019. So I guess
it did, yeah.
Theoretically, I mean, the episodes after Christmas could just be set before Christmas. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. But are you trying to lend some credence to my earlier theorizing
that he might die as a cliffhanger? That might be the moment before, maybe.
And that'll be the last episode of Arrow.
Not that I think a month is going to pass between those 2 episodes.
Oh, absolutely not. I know.
So which makes it null and void anyway. But he's like, yeah, we need to go. So he has a emotional goodbye with the kid and with Felicity, and off he goes. And the one weird part is that in the future, the Monitor shows up and takes Felicity to be with Oliver. Now that she's because basically in the future, her and Dinah and the other old guys, they pass on their mantles, so that now Mia, William, Connor Hawke, and was it a fourth? I'm sure it was a fourth. Oh yeah, I think his daughter,
Zoe.
Who's not been in the future segments for like 5 episodes or something like that. Because when she showed up, I was like,
just showed up. I was like, yeah, she was a thing.
So they've had the mantles passed on to them, and I don't know, where Roy or Dinah's going, but
who cares?
Yeah, who cares? So they've got a new team. So Felicity goes into a portal with the Monitor, and I'm like, well, where? Like, is Oliver technically not dead then, or can he literally take her to where Oliver is in the afterlife? Like, what way are we going with that?
Just to a different Earth, just some multiversal shenanigans.
Okay,
maybe he can do some time travel shenanigans.
Maybe there's an Earth where she died but Oliver didn't. It's like, hey, you two can fill your voids together.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. But yeah, so that was the Arrow finale. So I mean, the last like 20 minutes was genuinely quite interesting because it was more to do with Crisis than it was to do with Arrow.
Yeah. When the Monitor showed up, I was like, holy shit. Okay, what are we doing here? This is an Arrow.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it when we get to the show. But I mean, even Flash does have the post-credit scene as Crisis related. So
yeah.
So they're using their main shows to build up to Crisis, which is kind of nice. I mean, I don't expect one in Supergirl next episode, but like, it wouldn't shock me if they did a little thing.
Yeah, Supergirl's the most disconnected inherently.
Yeah.
So, like these others have something built in and have done for, in Flash's case, a long time.
Yeah.
So it feels natural to do that, but it's interesting because they've never treated the crossovers like this before. Obviously, they did quite a bit with Elseworlds at the time, right? In terms of marketing, but
sure,
it was never this build to it. Not in the same way that this is actually teasing and going in that direction.
This coming crossover feels like the most actually natural and out of the whole bunch, just because it's actually being hit, like, and not only just in the last crossover, but now at least 2 of the shows now are like, hey, Crisis is coming.
Do you know what's really funny?
Mm-hmm.
Is Crisis is going to be their endgame.
It is in a lot of ways, yeah.
Like in the sense that no, this is the end of. I mean, to the it's kind of phase 1 of these shows. That was phase 3 or whatever. But the same concept of this team, this lineup as we know it. This is kind of the end of that, and then we'll move on to something fresh. Yeah,
the difference being there's only really one main one that's going to go. Like I could see some supporting characters maybe going, but
right, but it's kind of the changing of the guard, right? In the sense that okay, Batwoman's coming in, maybe we're going to retire Flash in the next year or 2 as well, and move on from
next year or 2. But I mean, they're still going to have another like 13 episodes of Flash after,
which could be really interesting to have to if let's
Are
say,
you actually going to say something right now that Flash might be interesting and could do something with merit after Crisis?
now here's
Because
okay,
you have no reason to suspect that they're going to do anything good.
could, should, but does not mean will, and does mean unlikely. But best case scenario, right? If this is, for some reason we're in charge, screw it. Barry's gone in the Crisis, which we've known is coming for a long time. The deal wasn't quite what we thought. Barry does go, and maybe we have to get a new Flash. Maybe we've kind of already expended Wally, but maybe we get a Bart.
You think they'll introduce a
No,
Bart
no,
and
no.
make him the
I
lead
don't
right
think
away?
they will in a million years. I think they should. I think they should get to the end. Should get to Crisis, and they go, right, we've got 12, 13 episodes. Bart will we'll run with it, and they won't. I know they won't, but they should. Ideally, we'd be doing Wally, but that bridge is burned.
No. I don't wonder how long Flash will go on though. I wonder like does it get to, because this will be season 6 of Flash? Are we thinking at least 7 to kind of match Arrow in a way? Even though Arrow's getting like the one more short season, we'll see.
Maybe I can see it getting less because it hasn't got the Crisis there to kind of tally up at the end.
I can see it getting more.
It could, yeah,
because it's actually
it could go either way. Yeah.
Well, it does better than the ratings than Arrow's been doing for a long time. So, I could see them wanting for it to stick around, and you say that, but like they're not going to build to some other big crossover for the exit of Barry.
That's possible.
They totally could.
They could,
and probably will.
I wonder what I'm really intrigued about is, okay, so we obviously we've seen the obvious replacement of Arrow with Batwoman, right?
Yes.
What's the go-to replacement for Flash? Like in terms of where do you go as a replacement?
Green Lantern.
Show? Do you think?
I'll let you do another speedster. It's too similar. I think you take another science fiction angle, and the other science fiction angle in DC is you go cosmic and you go Green Lantern. I don't get me wrong, I think it'll still mostly be set on Earth, but like you'll have stuff in space too.
Which lantern do you do one of the newer lanterns and just go right? All the other ones they've been working. They've been working off, like Hal and John have been working off World.
Well, they actually set up Hal in like season
a long time ago.
Yeah, in like season 2 of Flash or something like that. They set up Hal. So I could see it being Hal. Obviously, I would love if it was like Hal, John, and Guy were already a thing, and maybe Kyle was like the new one.
I think what is far more likely, especially on the CW, is we go straight to Jessica Cruz.
I would love Jessica Cruz. I will not complain one bit if it's Jessica Cruz.
No, I would love that too. I think, honestly, that that might be the most likely option if we're doing Green Lantern.
It might be. Here's the thing though, like because of the way these shows have added characters as they go, like I could totally buy them starting with Hal, but by the time we get to season 5, having like 5 lanterns.
We could, yeah.
Like they totally could do that if they wanted to. They could.
That would be such a fascinating show to watch.
It'd be so different as well. It feels so separate from all the rest of the shows, but it could still connect with the crossovers because they come to Earth, right? Like
yeah, it
could work. But anyway, Arrow's finale first half was whatever. Second half was interesting.
It's funny because I feel bad for anyone who's an actual fan of Arrow as Arrow, because if this is your show's finale, you kind of got shafted getting 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you say that, but we're making some assumptions about the next 10.
We are. But if that is the case, and even the title of this episode,
yeah,
like it's like, yeah, it's kind of it's all playing into that assumption.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I imagine you might be a bit disappointed. In our case, it's a mercy killing, and finally.
So I guess that's Arrow. We'll go on to Legends. Legends of Tomorrow, Season 4, Episode 15. Also the penultimate episode, much like Supergirl. This is called Terms of Service, which isn't very witty on its own, but knowing why we're...
In context,
it's funny. So much happens on Legends these days. Let's talk about Gary. Let's talk about the third nipple.
Yes, because 2 wasn't enough. Got to be safe.
Because you know how we have the third man, the movie, the classic noir. I feel like we could do the third nipple as a noir, and I'd be really into that.
Is Gary our noir hard-boiled hero?
Well, Gary Green is all the man we need, so yes.
I would watch the hell out of that.
So basically, he's not necessarily as evil, but he's still got the fairy godmother. He's still got Agatha. Tabitha. Agatha's what I thought she was called the first time. That's right. There's a reason why that was in my head. And he's like taken Ava's office. He's like redecorated it, and they're all gearing up. The team's like, because Neron as Ray comes on the TV and is like, "Hey, I've got this new app because we're going to point out all these horrible metas and all these horrible monsters that are hiding among us." And they're like, "Okay, we need to take back the bureau." It's this big crowd raising moment. And Nora's like on the inside. She's got the comms. It's like Die Hard. She's like going, but she ends up getting caught by Gary. And then like Gary wishes that Ava and Sarah are there for book club because he wants to be in book club.
But they're in the middle of doing their plan. They're like, right, let's open a portal. And then Ava just vanishes.
There's even a silly like scene where they're all arming up and they've all got ridiculous guns, and like it ends in Zari with like a grenade belt, and she's like, "That seems a bit much."
Yeah.
Really,
and then
funny.
They're just gone.
And they're just gone, and they're there with book club, and basically, Tabitha keeps making them just do whatever Gary wants. So he wants book club. And he's like, "Ava, you showed favoritism. You started a book club with someone else, another employee. So that's favoritism." And so he makes them all read the book really quickly. And they're like, "It was terrible. Oh my god."
Yeah. And Gary's like, "That's the spirit."
And then he's like, "You know what? You're not going to respect me in book club. You'll respect me as captain of the Wave Rider." Yeah. So he takes Nora gets stayed, but basically Tabitha's got other plans for Nora, which is why.
Before this little bit though, in that kind of sequence is one of my favorite jokes is when Sarah's like, "It's fine, they'll just move on to Plan B," and then it cuts back to the team. And it's like, "What is Plan B?" Well, I assume it's just Plan A, but with less people. I love it.
So they end up on the ship and they're strapped into chairs, Ava and Sarah, and Gary's just kind of like, "Yes, I'm captain," and Gideon's calling him captain, and he's all happy. And at one point he cracks a joke about the Great British Bake Off. He cracks a joke about pastry.
Yeah.
It's just a bad pun. And then he comes over, he's like, "Hey guys, did you get that pastry?" And they're trying to go along with it so that he'll eventually let them go. So like, yeah, yeah, Gary, good one. And I'm just going to say it right now, Sarah's fake laugh is amazing.
It is, isn't it?
Sarah's fake laugh is fantastic. And so the rest of the team are all at this public like unveiling of this app, and they're all there. But then, just as they're about to intervene, Gary's like, "Oh, Joe, who's missing from the bridge? Like, 3 people's not enough for a bridge scene." And like, "No, we love a 3-person bridge scene. Otherwise, you just, some people end up standing around." It's like, "Is that why Mick's always angry?" No, we need the guys. And then Mick and Nate get teleported to the ship.
And Zari's there just watching Nate go, and it's like, "It just happened."
Yeah. Also, I love that the golden dragon egg is in the cat backpack that we had before from Charlie's episode.
Yeah, I love the way that this episode opens with young Zari.
Mm-hmm.
In what is I assume present day.
Yeah, present day.
And it's just we just see Zari with her mom, and okay, this is cool.
And it's present day because at the end, because Zari accidentally leaves the dragon egg behind, and then young Zari finds it at the end, and it's hatching. So we got a dragon. And it was making me wonder, actually, because she reminded us of some of her future backstory about, like, Argus rounding up metas and things like that, and I was like, wait a minute, like, that's only, like, she says, like, 2021, and I'm like, there's a point where, like, Flash is going to, like, cross over that and, like, have to, like, acknowledge that Argus is...
or alternatively, it's just, no, we changed that, and now it's just a paradox that she exists.
Sure.
But because of time travel, it's fine.
Oh, we'll get to paradoxes in Flash, don't you worry.
Yeah, but they're fine in Legends though, because Legends doesn't give a damn, and it's like, we don't give a damn.
But there's so much good stuff. Gary just making them do various things. He dresses up as Commander Steel at one point.
He just was the sidekick, and it's like, why would you want to be the sidekick? Like, just shut up.
Oh my god, there's just so many good little jokes, and then it kind of has some heart to it though, because Gary's like, "You never would have accepted me. I was always a laughing stock, and the left one out, and all the rest of it." And then ultimately at the end, when they do kind of like all get back together again, they're like, "No, Gary, you're going to help us. We need everyone we can get." And when we were all recruited years ago, like, we were the misfits and the weirdos. Like, you are a legend because you're exactly what the sort of person we were. It was actually kind of heartwarming.
Yeah, there's a great moment where where Gary is quote unquote torturing them, right?
He's making them dance and
Yeah, but it's just before that where he's saying no. Tabitha's been trying to make me like kill you all and do terrible things. And here I made you do book club. I just wanted to be part of the gang. I wanted to have fun. I'm trying to make this easy, and you won't even hang out with me. You'd rather be tortured, so fine. Here comes the torture.
But yeah, it's oddly heartfelt, and yeah, and Zari and Charlie are trying to like deal with things, and they break into the bureau. They kind of do the same thing Supergirl did, in the sense that they've got the Wookiee, pretending to arrest one of them. And they get to Mona, and there's a thing where someone else that uses the time thing to get in, and Charlie's like kind of like take Mona, take Zari, because like she's kind of down at that point, and because she's broken all the metas and the monsters out their cells, and but at the end it's like, oh wait, shit, now they've got Charlie who can shapeshift into all the other monsters anyway. Like that's kind of like Tabitha's reasoning, like, hey, we can just use her. She can be all the monsters. We can, because he's upset that he's absolutely got 200 downloads or 2,000 downloads. It's like, well, we're going to have to attack the capital then to like make everyone scared. Of course, one of the things that they all find out is that in the terms and service, which no one ever reads, of course, it actually says that by using this app, by agreeing to use the app, you are selling your soul to Neron. Neron's making a play for the throne of hell, and if he gets enough souls, he can do that. That's his game plan.
Because that's what Johnny's stuff is. He's down in hell. He's like, right, look, I'm going to sort this out. Come on, let's take me to the triumvirate. Let's deal with this at the top levels.
Yeah, and like that ultimately boils down to the girl that he wanted to save. He has to choose between her and Ray, and he chooses the girl because he just can't let that go. But the girl turns out that she's grown up down here. She's kind of evil. Like she's spent
hell's
years.
kind of ruined her.
Yeah. So he's in a bit of a pickle. But luckily for Constantine. Tabitha tricked Nora, because Nora, again, a little bit of heart, she wants to save Mona. Mona's dying, basically. And to do so, she's like, well, you can take my curse and you'll have the magic to save her. And so she gets the fairy godmother outfit. She's now a fairy godmother, but then, oh no, plot twist, your magic only works if your charge, the person that you're entitled to, has asked for something. You can only do magic if they ask for it.
And your charge is still Gary.
Yeah. And
she's dressed, and she's dressed in this like black outfit now with like a Sauron, more of a Saruman staff. Sorry.
Yeah, she's full on evil now. So there's a great moment where Gary like says fairy godmother, and she appears on the ship, and everyone else sees it's Nora, and Gary doesn't. And she's just sort of standing there, and Gary's like, I want you to go to hell and bring back Constantine. And she's like, oh, fiddlesticks. And as she's been dragged out of the port, she's like, Gary, you dick. That really made me laugh. I don't know how we get out of this. I would be down for a full season of her as like one of the characters' fairy godmothers, just for the humor of like her being miserable. It would be hilarious.
Ideally, Gary's.
Ideally, Gary. Yeah, that would be funny. But I don't see it last. I think we'll get some good jokes out of it next episode, and then
I do as well.
We'll solve it.
That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, so we kind of end with that there, and we have so much on at stake for the next episode.
It is amazing to me that Legends manages to pack so much in with so many characters, and it bounces around cohesive.
Yeah, it bounces around plot lines really effortlessly, and I complimented last week how it kind of brought all these plot threads that were introduced throughout the season together towards the end, and which is the complete opposite of Flash, which seems to forget things it did 2 episodes ago. It seems to forget. One of the things that I think I mentioned in the Flash review like last week or the week before, and I forgot to mention it on the podcast, but I'm bringing it up goddamn now, is that Barry was like, oh, we can't do this because, it was when Nora wanted to, like, go into Thingy's mind to see where she is. It's like, no, we can't do that because she might see into your mind and then know where we are. I'm like, she's already been to Star Labs, you piece of shit. Did the writers forget they wrote that scene?
that was Cicada's introduction.
Yes. Maddening. Absolutely maddening.
I know. It is.
Oh... Speaking of Flash.
Yeah, basically, we love Legends. It was great. Again,
Legends was
as
great.
usual.
Yes.
This season had a bad episode because usually there's there's 1 or 2 that are weaker.
There may have been 1 or 2 sort of just okay episodes.
There definitely wasn't a bad episode, was there?
Oh yeah, because last season had the Vietnam episode, which I remember thinking was pretty weak. But
yeah, but there's been nothing anywhere near as low as that.
But yeah, Flash finale, season 5, episode 22. It's called Legacy. It's funny. Flash is a character I do associate with Legacy, but it's weird that in the episode called Legacy, there's nothing to do with Wally or Bart or.
This show refuses to have any sort of legacy whatsoever.
And yet, there's a lot of talk of legacy somehow. So what was bizarre about this is that much like the Arrow finale, it was kind of a two halves kind of thing, because the first half was about stopping Cicada, and we'll talk about that, and then the second half was about stopping Thawne. It was like two separate plots, kind of just back to back. Because Ralph gets kind of hurt from the dagger, trying to stop it from getting destroyed at the start, and he's kind of out of commission for a little bit of the episode. Although the rest of them do eventually figure it out. So
I did watch this, didn't I?
You did watch this, yes.
I have recollection of 2 moments. And one of them was the final one.
Yeah. So there's more stuff with the Cicada, over Cicada's shoulder, as a ghost. And there's a point where they're trying to talk her out of it, and a good version of Cicada comes in to talk to her as well. So we've got these two. So it does this thing where it's cutting between the two cicadas, right? So we've got 2 Chris Pines, 2 of them, and
Klein, not Pine.
Chris Klein, yes, not Pine.
Chris Pines would be amazing.
Imagine the recast just to the last episode. It's Chris Pine now, not Chris Klein. But this might even be the funniest stuff that he's done in terms of acting, because it just cuts to him at several points during this negotiation thing where he's just I sent you.
That's not what this picture was.
Yeah, I sent Connor an image of just 5 of his faces during this scene.
I got this picture. I'm like, I recognize him. I understand what this is, but I have no idea what the hell the point of this picture is. I'm looking at it now. I'm like, what is this?
This was just that. Every time it cut back to him, that was one of his faces. Those 5 images.
That's way funnier now. Thank you.
Oh, it's so good. So bad, but so good. So yeah, they defeat her. They basically get young version of Gracie to take the cure.
I honestly remember none of this.
A lot of it's left my mind as well, because a lot of my complaints were more about the second half. Because okay, so Thawne, the dagger goes away, and Thawne's okay now, and he kills all the guards, and then everyone realizing this goes to the future, and tries to deal with it, and it shows in a really weird way. So this is the thing: Flash has been an absolute garbage show when it comes to adhering to its own time travel rules, to the point where even by the end of season 1, I was confused by what it was operating under. And
yeah,
this episode makes it so much more complicated to the point where there's not even any rules at play. It's just whatever they want to do in a particular episode is the rules they'll have. And so here's the thing. So I remember back at the end of season 1, Eddie shot himself so Thawne would disappear, right? Which, if I recall, technically did happen, but Thawne was still in the timeline. He was still showing up all the time, and
shenanigans. Yeah,
right. And we thought of a lot of weird theories to try and justify
we had
that.
a flowchart at one point.
We did. And then in this episode, Nora disappears because the timeline's changed. She has I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. She has that. It is literally that moment with her parents.
There's a few of those this week, isn't there?
Yeah, it's almost like everyone was thinking of Avengers for some reason.
Because you could say the same about the moment with Zari and Nate.
Yeah,
the visual of it.
The visual of it, although, honestly, it was just a joke more than anything else.
It was, yeah. But, Legends would play it as a joke, wouldn't it?
Of course. So, it just... It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Even the way they introduced them going to the future to stop Thawne is they actually rewind time and to before he snaps all the guards' necks, and then they quickly come in and speed all the guards away, and it's just them now. And I'm like, it is never shown as time like this. And here's the other thing. Here's the big thing that really bugs me about this. So let's say in present day they destroy this dagger, and it's destroyed now in the future. Why does it happen at this specific moment in the future with Thawne? If it's destroyed in present day, then they never had the dagger in the first place. So why was he locked up all that time in the first place? But it still happens on this final day before his execution.
I would be a lot angry if I could remember this. We watched this after Arrow this week, didn't we?
We did. I
just want to, just because I feel like I'm letting the team down here. even more than usual.
More than usual.
Given that it was Arrow's last episode and we had the return of Bloodlust recently, and inspired by one of our comments in it last week, I invented a cocktail for Arrow called the Bloodlust, and it may have destroyed me because it was like a couple of shots of vodka, a couple of Southern Comforts, some strawberry syrup to make it red, and it was like, half the glass was alcohol and just topped up with like 7-Up, and I had a few of those, and quite a few, and I don't remember this almost any of this from Flash. Like, it's not. I know I watched it because I remember Nora vanishing.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I remember.
Almost everything it did with time travel in this episode, I went, but no, you've shown this not to work this way before, like every single time, and I don't know, like. It just didn't make any sense. Like I don't understand that why as if it's running along parallel with the current timeline where the dagger disappears at that point exactly. It makes no sense. Given that, like, because Nora vanishes sure at that point like she never existed, but that means that her timeline didn't exist. So in this case with Thawne, the timeline where he goes to prison and is held captive all this time just wouldn't exist.
So it doesn't matter that he got free and killed all the people because he didn't.
He couldn't have done because he would never have been there.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not how it plays it. It plays it, no. It's literally just disappeared in this moment, even though it should have disappeared for the entire timeline.
It's really frustrating when it's inconsistent. It's horrific when it's inconsistent within 5 minutes of itself.
Yes, and Flash has done that on a few occasions. Flash does not know how to do this. Obviously, there's the awkward plot of Cisco taking the cure because he doesn't want to be Vibe anymore, so he can be.
Does he do that?
Yeah, Camilla. Which honestly, at this point, I'm thinking, why not just talk him into sticking around for half a season so he can die in Crisis? Like,
because he'll come back for the Crisis and die there anyway.
With no powers. Sure, but Sherlock runs off. He's away.
Has he gone? Okay.
He's gone. And
I genuinely feel like I'm learning this for the first time.
Barry and Iris are really upset naturally, but it's like, nah, you'll still have a daughter probably. She just won't exist exactly as she was. I mean, I'm almost wondering if they end up with Dawn and Dawn now because the timeline's changed.
Is Iris already pregnant?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine.
Well, they're not told us anyway.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, hypothetically, she could have been, and this would have still all tracked for the timeline, right?
Sure, yeah. But of course, the post-credits scene, the big thing is that the date in the newspaper, Flash vanishes in a crisis, which we have been saying they're going to do this like for years at this point, but you literally see it ticking down the year, and it stops in 2019. And then the other thing is some of the text changes. Now, I didn't notice this when I watched it, but I just saw online that it actually, you can read some of the text in the article. It mentions Batwoman and the Legends being there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah.
So this is the thing.
It's a nice post-credit scene.
I really hope they don't change this again. Like, obviously, the thing that you expect is, okay, the whatever Oliver Queen does, his deal, he changes this again, right? So so Barry doesn't vanish in a crisis.
I mean, hell, you could argue the reason why the year changed is because Oliver went off to help the Monitor, and that's what changed the timeline.
It could well be, yeah. Which is fine. But I really hope they stick with it. Just stick with screw it. Barry vanishes in a crisis. What the hell do we do now?
It's a Ralph and Iris the buddy cop show because I want that after some of the team-ups.
That would be better.
I'd be all for that. Oh, then the other thing that happens is that Singh promotes. He gets promoted, so he gives Joe his job because it's his choice to pick a replacement.
So after the one episode of fluffing it, it's like, I'll go anyway.
Yeah, which I have no problem with him being promoted to captain. It's fine. The problem I have is that they made him be really nervous about it last episode for like no reason. Like out of nowhere, Joe was incompetent for some reason. Yeah,
we talked about that a lot last week. Yeah. That was terrible. Just promote him to captain. He's been putting in good work for years at this point.
Can I just say how how surface level this was, that they gave him this sort of like trial thing one episode before they give him the job. Like, do it at the start of the season. Have episode 3 be that episode so that it kind of foreshadows it for later.
Yeah.
But no, they do it right before the episode where he's given the job.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Did. Man, the Flash writers are terrible.
They have been garbage these past 2 seasons. They really have been.
And we forgave last season to an extent with the behind the scenes stuff and changing showrunners halfway through, and we were like, well, maybe.
This was especially bad this year, and
I think it might be worse.
It is worse. This is the worst season of Flash for sure. And I think some of the things that really upsets me about it is that they just have characters not have motivations for things. Like Cisco's whole wanting to be cured makes no like. They even had something built in at one point. Remember, he used to get nosebleeds, or like right after he got his hand fixed after Cicada, he was getting nosebleeds when he was like vibing, I think, or that was at least at some point he was getting nosebleeds. Like have it be the powers are hurting him.
Yeah, he can't keep doing it.
But instead, they try and shoehorn this thing in where he just doesn't want to be vibing anymore, and it just doesn't. It feels out of nowhere. It doesn't track. They didn't convince me that he really felt this way. It's just an awkward way to write a character seemingly out of a show, even though he never says he's leaving outright. Like, it doesn't feel like he's actually gone. Although he does build Caitlin a new suit for Killer Frost before he goes. He may actually be here next season for a little bit before he leaves properly, but just as brainy Cisco. But I will stall as Connor gets his audio back on. Da 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 da. The Flash.
There we go.
The Flash.
Oh, Pete's singing. God help you all.
Yes, I was just telling you that Cisco made Caitlin a Killer Frost suit before he left.
Really?
We didn't get to see it though. We just see her reaction, so we'll see it next season. Enjoy.
I can't believe that I have more hope, maybe misplaced, admittedly, but more hope for whatever the hell Arrow is going to do next season than I do Flash.
Arrow at least is doing something different, so it could actually be better.
Arrow has the potential to do something interesting.
Yes.
Flash, I'm just expecting to be shite.
Unless, like, I almost kind of hope Flash kind of does the same thing where it's like, no, everything till Crisis is about the build up to Crisis. Like, we're going to play with it. They're going to see the newspaper. They're going to look into things.
You're sounding as optimistic as I did earlier.
No, I'm saying that'd be my hope. I'm not saying I expect it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier with the Bart stuff. That'd be what I hope. It's not what will happen. It's what should and could, but it won't.
Yes, but mine is actually, I think, slightly more feasible than them actually writing Barry out for the second half of the season.
It is. Well, is it? I mean, because yours to be feasible implies the writers have some competence. And I'm not sure that's true. Maybe
they'll hire some new writers for next season. Maybe we'll have some new faces in the writers' room that can
maybe they will
save the ship. No. But that is the Flash finale, which was the last episode that we're going to talk about, which means we can now pick our favourite episode of the week. So we have, naturally, the choice of two, really. We have Doom Patrol versus Legends of Tomorrow. Both had good episodes. However, Doom Patrol had a fantastic episode. So as much as I love Legends episode, I have to go with Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol was hype-inducing. It was touching in multiple places. Great music, great emotional beats.
Hell of an ending. Yeah, no, I agree with it. It's Doom Patrol, but through no fault of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Because Legends was a really good episode of Legends. It really was. It did nothing wrong. Doom Patrol did better.
I guess the finale is when we get them dressing up as the other heroes. Unless that was just for the trailer.
Might have been just for the trailer.
It may have been. I don't know. I want to see like Nate in the Arrow outfit and Sarah in the Supergirl costume. Come on.
I hope so.
Because I thought it was going to be this episode with Gary's wishes. I thought Gary was going to do something.
Yeah, it could have been.
Because it was Gary dressed as the Flash, but we'll see. He still technically has his fairy godmother, so it's possible.
He does, and she has the fairy magics.
She does. So that is the show, though. That is television from the multiverse. So obviously the load's a little bit later next week. Because of other commitments, it will probably just be a light episode next week with these shows. And then after that, because next week, of course, we have 2 more finales, it'll be off-season content plus the finale of Doom Patrol. And then after that, it'll be Swamp Thing with off-season content and so on.
Yes, until Young Justice starts.
And Pennyworth. Don't forget Pennyworth.
I honestly had forgotten. When the hell does Pennyworth? Do we have that on our schedule?
It's July. I think it's July.
We got Krypton before that then.
Oh, Krypton. Oh, I can't believe 40 Krypton.
Yeah, I am too, actually. We do have Pennyworth on our schedule. That's right at the end of July.
So that has been Television for the Multiverse. Thank you very much for watching and listening. So obviously something we should mention is that we do Comics from the Multiverse, which is us talking about DC Comics, both of us plus Matt. Every week we talk about the comic books. You can, of course, check out other content. We have other TV show reviews, other like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for example. If you're into comic book stuff, you may enjoy that. You can, of course, support us over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month, and you get some bonuses, exclusives, all that kind of thing. You can get us on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast or at mailed_fuzz for either specific comic book stuff or channel updates, depending on what you fancy. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching superhero TV shows, guys. And remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.